Hello and welcome to In the Good City Catalyst. On today's show, we're talking about health, wellness, and lifestyle. How do you manage living with type 1 diabetes? And how do you live with type 2 diabetes? And all the misconceptions that both of us have to live through. Society, people you work with, people judging you based on what devices are hanging from your body. So Ramit lives with type 1 diabetes and I live with type 2. Ramit also is a walking humanoid. He has a lot of tech injected into him. He's got something on his arm. He's got something on his stomach. And he'll show you more. So if you're wondering what this weird cable is, we'll elaborate on it. How do we choose what we eat? How do we do an insulin to carb ratio? How do we survive regular life amongst regular people, but with a metabolic condition? So Ramit, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ramit, and I am actually head of growth for Office for Mac at Microsoft and an AI enthusiast. And I just become a father. So I have a 2-month-old.
So he went beyond the diagnosis. He's had a child, no problem.
Super happy to be here.
Awesome. So how long have you lived with diabetes and how is like the diagnosis?
So it's been about 7 years, and I was diagnosed in 2020 at pretty much the height of COVID during the first wave. And actually, my diagnosis got a little bit late because the first wave was going on, and I was just scared to go to the hospital for any kind of check. Losing a lot of weight, so a few 100 grams a day. I was in Canada with my wife.
On this video call.
Yeah, so on video call, they would notice some big differences in my weight and how I started to look. It was like, I think it was detected as soon as it became severe. My father called out, and then I kind of went for a blood test, and it came through.
And obviously the first wave of COVID abroad, you're masked up.
Correct. All of that was there. But yeah, the medical services were more or less open, but there was absolutely confusion about type 1 versus type 2,
Right.
because I was 29 years of age. So it was like at the cusp of age where you would usually get a type of type 1. So there was some confusions that doctors had, but then figured it out and then got a bunch of tests done and came on it.
Were one of the tests that you got done, was it a C-peptide?
Yeah, I got C-peptide done. I got auto antibodies done. And yeah, so there's a bunch of tests that are done to determine type 1 versus type 2, but it was a very common confusion.
The scariest part as a full-grown adult and being married is, the initial jabs of insulin, dealing with needles, dealing with pens.
Correct.
And then even that fear of holding it in your stomach or your legs. How did you go through that?
It was certainly a big change. And I think I vividly remember just having to really learn about all this, and first not believing that, oh, this has happened. And then, I think in general, diabetes awareness is super low. And I consider myself hyper educated, but my diabetes awareness was also very low because in India, you call it sugar. It's a bit of a misnomer. You always associate diabetes with having too much sugar or too much, glucose. But it's not like that. Diabetes is genetic.
We're all Asian origin.
Yeah. So, and all kinds of foods come in the purview of diabetes. So essentially, I really had to start watching what I was eating, how much I was eating. I used to really munch a lot of snacks, etc. This was the first time I really started to look at things.
This is pretty Claude or
of course, stuff like that. Yeah. So and I started to look at all the packets much more carefully, because in the past I would still look at the nutritional information, but I was just looking for high fat, low fat. That was it. Like, I was just concerned about not getting very fat. But then this was the first time I started to really start to look at like carbs and how much carbs something has, because then I have to calculate how much insulin I have to take.
And on that note, that's a very interesting question. When you live with diabetes, either type 1 or type 2, which is carb to insulin ratio.
Correct.
Right? For how many carbs. Now, the fun part is no matter what vegetables you eat or your meat or stuff, everything has some sort of carb, and how you make it. There's so many things to it, right?
Right.
And then also our global cuisine. Like today, right now, if you go to a supermarket down the road, I think stories, is the first ever low carb noodles. It comes pre-cooked. It's a bit of a scare. And then you rinse it in water and then you mix it with whatever you like and you have noodles.
Right. But That being said, it's still some carbs.
Yeah.
And everything. So I think the biggest thing that people need to know is that everything, your carbs, your fat, your proteins, everything moves sugar up. Fibers move sugar down a little bit. But the thing is that everything impacts your blood sugar levels, especially if you are a type 1. Your insulin production is going down. So just to give people some context, like type 1 is where your body is producing less insulin, and type 2 is when your body is absorbing less insulin. The pancreas are just producing less insulin than they're supposed to produce. So then you have to basically just take some from the outside using a pen or a pump, and basically everything is moving your sugar levels up or down, mostly up, less. Only fibers move them down a little bit, but essentially fibers and exercise move them down. Everything else is moving them up. So you have to always just have that math in your brain on what is your carb to insulin ratio and how much you are eating and how much insulin you're putting versus how much you are exercising, so that you can really manage that level. Because at the end of the day, all you're trying to do is maintain your sugar levels between 100 to 200 mgdl. That's it. Before, after meal, during the whole day, all your entire goal is to only do that, right?
Yeah. So, and something like our grandparents would do more than our parents, which was after meals, they would walk, right? And obviously there was science behind it, which is that as soon as you eat, it would help bring your glucose down relatively, then spike it.
Right.
How's life been treating you over the past couple of years living with diabetes?
I think it's been just fine. I mean, my first year I was on pens.
I love old school style.
There's like a insulin injection, right? So the small needle one.
Right.
So basically, that was the first year, and so year and a half I was just using pens. With pens, I think there's been a lot of advancements. So you can use, there's like an overnight insulin, like a Pizaglar that you can use, and then Humalog is throughout the day you're using. But it's pretty good. But at the end of the day, like if you're using pens, like you are a little bit constrained, especially as a type 1, in terms of what kind of activities you can do, because you can't really stray off course too much. Like you can't like do full marathon. The pump, you can do pretty much anything, because pump is like literally dynamic management. So like every hour it's just putting some amount of insulin in your body, and you can like go up and down based on.
Can you show us some contact?
Yeah. So this is the pump. So this is a tank.
So he actually has a pipe going into his stomach.
So the pipe goes here. There's a small cannula that goes here. It's a very small plastic thing. It doesn't pain at all.
And a tiny needle, just like you
It's a tiny needle like a CGM. Like CGM also doesn't pain at all. And yeah, so what you could do in a pump is basically you can pretty much like inject insulin, like you can bolus you for your meals, your breakfast, lunch, dinner. And it also can maintain throughout the day, it's giving a certain amount of insulin. So you are not using daytime and nighttime insulin separate. It's just one type of. And this is one cartridge. It can hold up to 300 units of insulin.
one whole bag.
Yeah, about 300 units. So 3 ml. So
it lasts you about 10 days.
And so some people have medicine plus insulin, in which case insulin consumption is less. But it's really about how your doctor is managing it. Like you get a combination.
Best views, guys, please. And this is our fourth question to Ramit and I, which is whether you live in Canada or whether you live in India. But please go through the process and find yourself a great endocrinologist and his or her team, because that team is very, very useful.
In India, I think Hormone India is pretty good. Max hospitals have very good endocrinologists. In St. Paul's Hospital is very good. Angela Liu, Dr. Monica Pavlovs, some great doctors, in Canada.
We have a gigantic country. There are various doctors and there are various foundations. We should talk about what condition they live with. It's okay. It's a metabolic condition. It could be a life-limiting thing. But the whole importance is that you go out and play sport. When you wake up in the morning, all of us have time, but go out in the evening also for like an hour. Go play sport, dance, some weights. Weight training, very important.
Yeah, weight training is super important for diabetes.
Yeah, right. Because it really helps. It took me a long time to get here, but I'm still able swimming 4-5 days a week, but also with strength training, very important. And Ramit, lastly, what is your message to people living with type?
My message be happy and get as much family support and support from your spouse as much as possible. I was pretty lucky to get support from my family and my spouse.
I think my mom and like a whole support system, coaches.
Yeah. So get that support, explain to them that it's not the end of the world. People live with it for like 50, 60 years. Like, no worries. You can pretty much live your entire life without any issues if you are if you basically just keep your sugars under. If you are not doing that, I see a lot of people cheat on their sugar management, but that's basically borrowing from the future. So don't borrow from the future.
You can cheat once a week.
Yeah. But don't borrow from your future too much. Try to maintain your HbA1c levels, go to the doctor, maybe once in 6 months, get your whole body checkup.
90 days, get yourself checked. It's worth the investment. Canada and other countries abroad, you're covered under insurance. In India, we pay for healthcare insurance, but you're not covered under it. So it's an out-of-pocket expense. If you look after yourself today, then the expenses on diabetes is lesser.
Of course.
If you choose not to and you choose to abuse your body with whatever it is that you do.
Yeah, because diabetic, long-term impact of diabetes is very devastating. So
your legs.
It's called silent killer diabetes because there are no symptoms in the beginning, and then all of a sudden when symptoms show up, it's very late, and then they can be very devastating. So of course, don't take it lightly, and also stay away from diabetes management. It requires proper insulin, metformin.
In India, we're going through a renaissance of such. If you see the overall supplement industry, there's control your glucose, drink XYZ particular syrup, and it'll help you. I'm not a medical practitioner, but I don't.
Yeah, don't take risks with your diabetes. Yeah. It's not, those things are okay in general for a healthy lifestyle, but if you have diabetes, just take it seriously.
Yeah. Finally, Ramit, we're sitting in a very interesting space.
Yeah.
What are we sitting at?
We are at Cubics Bangalore. And this is, as you can see,
beautiful queue here.
Yeah.
We're on using
Cubics Technologies. Yeah, it's a great space.
Thank you, Rhythm and Ritika, and the rest of the team.
Hosting us.
Type 1, Type 2, signing off.
Yes.
See you soon. Please go eat. It's past dinner.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, Rhythm.